Okay.
Ooh, it's that time of the year. It's that cold. It's that time of the year. Oh.
You go right ahead. I'm just going to introduce myself.
No, I was talking about something totally different.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're going to get started because I value your time, and based on how things went yesterday, I want to keep things going today so we get out of here when I said you would get out of here. So, my name is Sarah. I am the Adult Services Librarian here at McFarland. We were very fortunate to get a grant from the Public Library Association and AT&T to put on some technology workshops. And we are using something called digitallearn.org. They're the company that has put together all these materials. The great thing about digitallearn.org is it's free. You can go on it, and there is a plethora of different tech kind of workshops. Anything from how to use a computer for the very first time, to working online, to what is Google Docs, to learning how to work with your resume. So lots of different things. I'll actually show you the website a little bit later, but I highly recommend going there as well. Just a couple of housekeeping things. Like I said, there's some treats over there, and there's coffee and tea in the back. You are welcome to get up at any time and refresh beverages and treats. Our bathrooms are out the doors and right to the left. And again, please feel free to use those at any time. There are some Post-it notes at your desks. Sorry, I used to be a teacher, so my mind's still best. You are free to write down any questions you have on that, or if you would rather just raise your hand and ask a question, you can do that as well. There'll be a couple natural breaks for questions, but I'm open to having them at any time. Any first questions before we get started? Okay. Oh, there's also some candy canes over here. You didn't see them when you first walked in, so you need something to suck on, feel free. And there will be some door prizes. Everyone will leave with something today. So, all right, I think that's all the information I need to let you know today. Okay, here we go. So today's agenda, the first thing is we're going to talk about what is cybersecurity. We're going to do some skill building activities around recognizing a secure website, making passwords strong and memorable, and recognizing and avoiding online scams. We'll talk about a few tips and tricks to go along with those. Like I said, that's also part of that one handout. So it's all written there for you. If you're a fridge person that likes to put things on the fridge, feel free. And we'll be practicing. One thing to note, like I said, I'm the librarian here. I'm kind of in charge of helping patrons with technology, but I am not an expert. I recommend having experts in your life, those people that you can go to for any sorts of questions. You are welcome to come to the library with your questions, and I'm more than happy to explore with you. I've done that a few times already in the past few months, so I'm happy to do that and do the learning with you. All right. So, first off, why do we need to be concerned about safety when we're online? Okay. So, first of all, when we surf the web or create personal accounts on websites and use email, we're sharing personal information that we do want to keep private. This could include credit card information, bank information, personal health information, and more. We need to keep it safe and confidential. Whoops, sorry, I pressed something I should not have. And then the other thing is fraudsters may try to gain access. So I took a class a couple semesters ago from a professor who's all about security. Most knowledgeable person I've ever met on this topic. And one of the things they call fraudsters are bad actors. Okay, so unfortunately, there are people in this world that like to do bad things, just in the real world and online. So we want to make sure that we can do everything that we can to keep ourselves safe from those people. All right, so what is cybersecurity? It's all about the safety online. Our identity, personal data, financial assets, anything that could be accessible via some sort of computer-based device. So for people like you and me, that means your personal data is only accessible to you and others you authorize. And your devices, whether it be a laptop or a desktop computer, a mobile phone, a tablet, they work properly and are free of something called malware. Malware is a word that's made up of 2 words, malicious software. Where we get that word from. So malicious software is any kind of software that could bring a virus to your computer. It could have spyware or adware to track your online activities. And that again goes along with those bad actors. All right, so the first thing, one of the main 3 things we're talking today about is secure websites. So why does a website need to be secure? Any ideas? Exactly, so the bad guys don't get our information, all right? So there are things that, because it's 2023, we have to use the internet, right? So we have to come up with ways to make sure that when we're putting our information online, it's being done safely. So there are 2 things that you should be looking for to know whether that website is safe. The first one is a padlock icon next to the address bar. And the second is that the web address starts with HTTPS. Okay? So the padlock, mine happens to be green. That does not necessarily mean your computers will be green. And then HTTPS. I, at one point, knew what all those letters stand for, but I like to pretend that the S means secure, right? Because there are websites that are just HTTP without the S, without the security, all right? So your first kind of big thing, look for the padlock, look for that S on the HTTP address, all right? If you see those things, that means that this web page is safe to browse without being tracked, it's safe to create an account, and it's safe to share personal information, all right? There's a lot of browsers today that if you try to put in a non-secure website, it might not necessarily let you. It might say, hey, are you sure you want to go to this website? And that's great, but not all websites do that. So that's why we need to know that as well. Sometimes in your browsers, when you go to type something in, it might just show website.com. It might get rid of this, but if you click on it, then it should bring it up for you to see whether or not it is safe. Okay? So if it doesn't have those things, you may have an exclamation point. You may have a padlock with a slice through it saying, nope, it's not secure. Maybe it looks like the padlock is unlocked, all right? So if it is not a locked padlock, it is not secure. If it does not have an S, it is not secure. Okay, those are kind of the 2 big things. All right, whoops, man, keep on going too far. Let's go there, there we go. Okay. So we know, like we already said, we have lots of websites where we may have already created an online account. What are some that maybe you already have? Yeah? Yeah? Shopping? Yeah, so social media. What about medical? Like if you have MyChart, and I know a lot of places now they make you use that. So that's why it's important for us to know whether or not these are safe. Okay? So when you are creating your account, remember it should be only accessible to you or those you authorize. And now we're going to do a little practicing. But before we get there, are there any first questions? Yeah.
Whenever you go on Google and you click on something and it says, ask your location
Ah,
all the time.
so those aren't necessarily bad guys, but what Google likes to do is sell your data to other companies. So they're tracking to see what kinds of websites you go to so that they can personalize some ads on that page in hopes that you'll click those.
It's kind of tricky that they say location rather than we want to use your information.
Of course, because they don't want to say that right out loud that they're going to use your information. So anytime someone's asking for my location, I always say block. And that's just kind of my way of starting things out.
Found stores near yours.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna move on to activity number 1. So in your one packet, it says learner activity sheet, right? So it says activity 1, secure websites. So I'm gonna show you a couple websites, and I want you to tell me whether or not that website is secure. All right. So here is my first one, google.com. Why does it look good?
One's got the S and it's got the block.
Yes, all right, so if you're looking right up here, there's our secure, and it actually shows it's verified by something, and there's our S, okay? What about this? Yes, and I wanted to pull this one up because this is digital learn. .org, O-R-G, and I just wanted to show you what we're doing today. It comes from this area, but all of these are free for anybody to use on any topic, and you can do them at your own pace. I highly recommend it. I didn't know about these until just a few months ago, and I thought, wow, what a great idea. Okay, so like I said, this is digitallearn.org. Okay. Now I have digitallearn.com.
And obviously because it's not a real website.
That is true. It's probably was at one point or whatever, but we notice, yep, there's a slash through there, and we can't, yeah, so we can click on this, and it should, hold on, let me bring it up. Oh, look at that. It shows connection not secure. All right, so we're kind of lucky that that's automatically telling us that. Okay, so that's a good example of a non-secure website. So what are the 2 things that you need to always look for to know whether or not it's secure?
Padlock.
Padlock. Yes, padlock and HTTPS. All right, well done. Okay, we just did that, we just did that, we just did that. Fantastic. Okay, so that's our first way to help us stay secure online, is making sure we're going to websites that we should be going to. The second one is dealing with passwords. Now, unless you have a photographic memory, and if you do, congratulations, that's amazing, but most of us don't, right? And it can get very difficult to keep track of passwords or make passwords. But a password, a strong password, is something that should be hard to guess. Not necessarily for you, but for bad people who are trying to access your information. All right, so we're going to talk about some important things when it comes to strong passwords. All right. You can have passwords that are not strong, and you can have passwords that are not secure. I don't recommend either of those. True story, many people's password is password because it's easy for them to remember. But the bad actors, that's going to be the first one that they guess. So you never, ever, ever want to use the word password for your password.
Or 1, 2, 3, 4.
Or 1, 2, 3, 4. Or ASDFGHJ, the middle key of, yep. So all of those are going to be the first ones that they're going to guess, all right? Now, a lot of websites today kind of tell you, these are my requirements, all right? It might be at least 8 characters long. You need to have 1 uppercase letter, 1 lowercase letter, 1 number of some sort. And if that's the case, then you have to follow those directions. You don't really have a choice with that. Sometimes they might also want you to have some symbols, like some sort of punctuation mark. Sometimes the website you're going to might not necessarily have this message right away. They might have you try to come up with a password, and then they'll say denied, and then they'll say, well, it's denied because you didn't include a number of some sort. It's silly that they would do that, but websites will, right? So here are some tips for making strong passwords. All right, we're gonna talk about some do's and don'ts. So don't use common words like password, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or ASDFG, or password 1. That would not be good either. Don't include personal information. Now, I know why people do this. You know, think of that first street that you were on when you were growing up, Maple Street. Okay, I can remember that. I'm going to use it as part of my password. But when you include personal information, if they were to happen to break that password, now they have more information about you, whether it's your street or your mother's maiden name, and they can use that to access other things. So you don't want it to be personal. I get it why. You know, I've done it myself, but if you have, change it. Don't use the same password on multiple accounts and sites. Again, I am guilty of doing this because I don't have a photographic memory, and it's so hard to try to keep track of them all. As I've been getting older, though, I've been trying to go through and change some of them. Some websites might make you change your website or change your password every so often. Our email that we have here at work, I think it's every 90 days, they like come up with a new password. And it seems really annoying to have to do it, but then again, it's probably the safer thing because
You just get to know what to remember and then you have your thing.
yep, I had a coworker once that every time that would happen, they would just change one thing about it, whether it was a number. And so, 1, 2, 3. So then they also knew how long they'd been at that job because the number just kept on increasing. Don't share your password with other people. Keep it private. Another difficult one, especially if you share video browsing websites with other people. Maybe it's even other family members like Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus, that sort of thing. The more people that know your password, the chances are that password could be given to somebody else or somebody's friend just this once, and then you have some issues. Okay, so what can we do? What are our do's? Make the password longer. Okay? Does not need to be complex long, just longer. So something like ZBE6K28A bracket, no one's going to remember that, right? It's longer, but it's difficult. So instead, why don't make it a phrase? Cows help make cheese. Okay? Definitely longer, but it's definitely something you're going to remember a little bit more. By the way, don't use this password for your new passwords or any of the ones that we practiced today, because that wouldn't be good either. All right. Obviously, if you're on a website that says, hey, you need a letter and a number and an uppercase, you might not be able to do this, but you could tweak this so that it fits the rules. Okay? So having that secure password, how do you remember it? All right. There are a few ways that we can do it. And we'll talk maybe about some good ones and not so good ones. So the first one is a notebook. The second one is something called password software. And the third one is a phrase, which we just looked at with the cows help make cheese, but we'll talk about it a little bit more, okay? So a notebook. I have a notebook with passwords. I mean, just because of the sheer number of websites, I'm like, I can't. Nobody knows where it is. And not only is it in a notebook, it's on a specific page in that notebook that is recognizable to me for a specific reason. And it's, like I said, nobody knows where it is. So I feel confident that it's in a safe and secure place. You might have other documents in your house that also need to be in a safe and secure place. I would recommend putting your passwords there as well. They do say, again, if this helps you, you could, instead of writing down the actual password, write down something that helps you remember what your password is. I couldn't do this. It would not help me. I just don't have that kind of memory. But it might help other people. So you kind of have to go with what's good for you. All right. Yeah.
I have Apple products, an Apple phone, and it all comes up with these, you want us to check, because I used to use Grandma's 6 on so many, because I'm a grandma, the 6 grandchildren, and it said, look about, okay, so I started changing them, but it's just like capital letters, little letters, numbers, but I just changed them, but at least then it got the thing that, it brings it back up.
Yes.
So it's like, is that safe then?
That's a great question. So I think a lot of products do that. I mean, I have an Android phone, so it's Google-based, and Google has the same thing. It's called its own little password manager, and it will remember my passwords. Now, I also have extra protection on my phone, so I feel comfortable using that. If you have like antivirus stuff on your computer, chances are it has some other protections along with it. I would say it should be fine. I think most browsers now, I know Firefox has the same thing where they should try to keep, because again, you can't remember them all. Yeah.
I think DuckDuckGo also.
Yes, DuckDuckGo.
I mean,
Yeah,
I use that on my phone and my tablet now.
I do too.
I actually love it, and it's also great to like keep trackers away and whatnot.
And DuckDuckGo is good because it doesn't track stuff.
What's the control?
It's a search engine, kind of like Google, that when you type things in, it's legit your web search results. Whereas Google, people can pay Google to be like, hey, I want my result to be higher on the list. And Google will take that money and put their result higher on the list. So, and I'm sure other browsers do that too. But DuckDuckGo is a little bit newer. Again, my professor had brought that up. That's the only one that she uses because it doesn't track what you're Googling or what you're searching for, or then what you click. So, yeah. So the next thing kind of goes along with what you brought up. Is called password software. So not only do certain web browsers have password managers, but you can actually purchase a password software that manages all your passwords for you. It's usually unlocked with a single master password, so you only have to remember one. And then it will have a list of all the passwords you use, and it will suggest passwords for you. So we have one here at work, it's called 1Password. And one of the other good things about it is that we can share certain passwords with other people if we want, because there are certain things that more than one person needs access to. So if we all have that 1Password, we're able to go into that and only access what Amy wants me to get, but I can't get any of the other stuff that she has. And I've noticed lately with 1Password that they're starting to do more phrases if necessary, instead of one capital, one lowercase, one letter, one symbol kind of thing. So the prices for these range from ridiculously expensive to fairly cheap. I would say just make sure you're doing the research to go when you're looking for it. And when you're doing the research, look at legit, reputable technology places. One thing I would start with is Consumer Reports. I haven't looked lately to see if they have that, but that's kind of my first go-to for technology. And then the third thing is phrases. Phrases, actually, you can make them longer, and they're then more difficult for bad actors to figure out. Because you have legit words instead of just scrambled. So if they're using some sort of programming tool to try to figure out a password, it's easier to figure out the random ones. It's more difficult to figure out the phrases. There's some math behind that I don't quite understand, but I do trust it. All right, any questions before we go on to activity 2? Okay, so activity 2, there's 2 parts, 2A and 2B. On 2A, you are pretending that you are signing up for something, and you have to come up with a password, and it's giving you specific directions. All right? Must be at least 8 characters, have 1 uppercase, 1 lowercase, 1 numeric character. And the second one has, 4 passwords listed, and it wants you to figure out ways to make them better. And there's many ways that you can do this, and we'll share out a little bit about those. And there's different directions for the 2 sets. So I'll give you a little time to work on that. Again, whatever we share out, I would not use them from here on out. Because this is just practice. And no worries, I'm not grading these either. So there's really no right or wrong answer at this point. We're just trying to get that practice.
Do you not recommend using 2 symbols back to back?
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean, I think as long as you're changing, especially some capital letters that you do, yeah. The only thing I would maybe consider is putting one of them in between the 2 words,
Okay,
just to kind of break it up a little bit more. No worries if you don't get to all of them, because we are going to share out some ideas. So something that somebody else says might help you come up with something. All right, for the first activity where you had to use 1 uppercase and 1 lowercase and 1 numeric character, and it had to be 8 characters long, what are some passwords that you came up with that you thought would be strong? Yeah.
Cheese Day 23.
Cheese Day 23.
Cheese Day.
Oh.
Spanish.
See that, you got me there, right there. Okay. And did you use any capital letters in that?
Capital C.
Okay.
And then 2 numbers.
Okay, excellent. Any others?
Okay, so I don't misunderstand. I thought we had to use the happy birthday part
Oh,
of it in
sorry.
there.
On this side.
Oh, on that one.
Yes. I see it right there. Yep. So just flip your jam and this, you were in the right one. Where's it? Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you did. I saw you right on there.
Yeah, actually, some like, mix it all up with letters and numbers,
Okay.
if that's,
I mean, it fits the criteria, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 and the 10, then capital M-A-K-E 15.
Excellent. You know, I also know there's some people that will use a symbol to like replace a letter. So for example, if I was writing the word clear, instead of using an E, they might use a 3. Instead of using an A, they might use the @ sign. Instead of an L, they might use the number 1. So you can think of tricks that way too, that you're replacing things, but it still kind of reads as that word. And you can also even think, like I was thinking of a phrase, my favorite movie is The Sound of Music. So I could use those words, put some numbers in there, put some symbols in there, and break it up. I could rearrange it so it's like music or sound, or you know what I mean? So lots of different ways that you can do that. All right, how can we make happy birthday more secure? Had to be at least 12 characters long, and contain 1 uppercase letter, 1 lowercase, 1
Start with
number.
make happy, capital H.
Okay, all right.
And as you said, in the middle of happy birthday, place another something.
Something, some symbol,
Yeah,
whatever
some
you
symbol.
prefer. Any other suggestions for happy birthday?
I just put with happy, with the capital H, pound sign, birthday 5.
Okay. Any others?
Yes,
What do you got?
pretty much, same as before, like mix up with like capital and lowercase, and then like, change some of the wordings around.
Mhm.
Like letters around, like, the letter I to be a 1, things like that.
Did anybody put birthday in front of happy? Okay. So remember, you can kind of do that too.
Do that.
Yeah. How about Joseph Smith?
Yeah, it was the same way.
Same way, that's totally legit. Anyone change Joseph to a different name, like Joey or Joe?
Say,
Jose? That works too. Okay, so as long as you're putting letters and numbers and some sort of special character, have some capitals in there, we're good to go. All right, the next 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and password 1. This time it doesn't say anything about needing a number or needing a special character, right? It just says use a short phrase. So what could we do for either of those?
I would change, me particularly, I would change the number 3 to a capital E and the number 4 to a capital A.
Okay. What if you were only allowed to use lowercase letters for this one? What if you had to make it into a phrase?
It'd still be the same way
Okay.
for the most part.
Okay. Anyone ever remember the old nursery rhyme 1, 2, buckle my shoe, 3, 4, shut the door? So you could do 1, 2, buckle my shoe, if you wanted to. 3, 4, shut the door. So you still kind of have the numbers going on, but you're doing it in a very different manner. And password 1, honestly, I would just shoot that one out the door and come up with a brand new password.
Yeah.
You're using the word password and you're using the number 1,
Yeah.
both of which you shouldn't be doing, okay? So the main thing is make sure you're following the directions for whatever the website is, and then make those longer. Make sure you're trying to use phrases instead of necessarily trying to only use a combination of letters and numbers. And make those phrases something that you think you will remember a little bit more. Okay, so the first thing was recognizing a secure website, our lock, and the S on HTTPS. The second thing is making sure we're using secure passwords, and how do we protect those? Notebook, password software, and if you can't do either of those, that's okay. But try to make your passwords phrases instead of letters and numbers. The third thing we're going to talk about is online fraud and scams. So when we started talking about cybersecurity and at the beginning, we're talking about it's everything safety online, our identity, our personal data, our financial assets. Okay? So cybersecurity is being secure online. We want to make sure our personal data is not accessible to others. We want to make sure our devices are working properly, free of malware, which we said is malicious software put together into one word, right? So we're going to think and talk about some different kinds of online fraud and scams and some ways that we can recognize that if it were to happen to us. All right, so some of the most common ways of having online fraud and scams are phishing and social engineering. And we're going to talk about both of those, okay? So the first one, phishing. Actually very apropos that it has a fish hook, because even though it begins with a PH, it really is somebody trying to fish for your information, right? They're trying to bait you into telling them stuff. It might be a fake email that maybe sort of looks legit. It could be a text message. It could be a phone call. It could be a website that looks real, but might start having some pinky stuff going on, all right? So they're all tricks to make you think that it's legit, so then you should be safe to give them your information, but not necessarily safe. So we're going to talk about that and how you should know. A fake email can be used to infect your computer with malicious software or malware, or a virus as soon as you open the email. Malware is a tool that fraudsters use, and it can take many shapes. It can lead to viruses that infect your computer, or they can put things on called spyware so they can track your online activities. Just last night, when I got home, I got a very weird work email that said was from my boss. It said, hello, and it said, if you get this, please contact me via email. And it was written as a link for me to click on. And Heidi, my boss, has my phone number. So I know, number one, she's not going to be sending me an email late at night saying, please email her. Number two, if it was really serious, she would just text me or call me and talk to me. All right, so even in our library world, it happens almost on a daily basis. All right, social engineering is another common type of scam. It's a new name for the old con artist trick. So here, they try to gain your trust by convincing you there's someone that they aren't in order to get personal information from you. They might say that they're a relative. They might say that they're a friend, possibly a Nigerian prince. Or a company that maybe you've heard of before, and so you think it must be safe. My parents get phone calls all the time where it will read that it's UW Health or Walgreens, and they have stopped picking up because the first time they did, they realized this is not UW Health, and if they really needed to call, they're going to leave a message. So That's,
Kind of like, you know, we get like so many spam calls.
Yeah.
Every single day we get.
yeah. And even on my personal phone, I don't answer unless I see it's a number that I recognize. And I've already put in my phone, because again, if they want to contact me, they can leave a voice message. All right, so have any of you ever experienced some fraud or scams before? Yeah. Okay, it's not fun. Anyone want to share what happened? It's totally okay if you don't want to.
My wife got a phone call from somebody that said that her cousin that was her cousin that they were in an accident and they were in another town and they needed money to pay the guy, so he didn't file charges on them. He didn't have insurance.
Yeah. Oh. And did she believe it was her cousin?
She did.
Okay,
She helped him.
okay. And did
Her
that,
neighbor was smart enough to say, you should call and make sure your husband, your cousin is
yeah,
one calling, and she did. And found that it wasn't.
it wasn't. This reminds me of the little Facebook message that you were just talking about. How, I mean, people will say, hey, I just got a Facebook friend request from you, but I'm already your friend. So those are bad actors. They're trying to pretend that they're, you know, there's somebody that your friend knows to end up getting more information. So they're just trying to bait you, or bait your friend, and your friend didn't take it.
I have a problem, I still have it,
Oh,
on my email, I keep getting, every day it's a different message. The guy's name is Roy somebody. And it's a political message,
mm-hmm.
I can't get rid of it.
Mm.
There is no unsubscribe.
Okay, I'm glad that you mentioned that word, because I learned something through going through this, and we're going to talk about what to do with that, okay? So here are some tips for recognizing any kind of scam, okay? So first and foremost, have you heard of the person or organization? Sometimes the answer might be yes, like UW Health on the phone, yes, I recognize that. Can you tell who an email message is from? Does it actually have the person's name? Does the email address look funny? And we'll talk about that too. Does the email have mistakes, whether it's grammar or spelling, spacing issues? Are they asking for your information? If they're asking for your information, it's probably a scam. I would call, you know, the actual legit place and say, are you trying to contact me? Are they trying to rush you into quick action? Like, oh, this ends at the end of the week, or we're going to bill you really soon if you don't do this, or you're not going to win this prize if you don't do it today. And does it sound like it's too good to be true? Because that happens as well, okay? All right, so we're going to look at some emails, and we're going to try to figure out what's wrong with them, okay? So this is a random email. It's from PayPal, which is a legit company, all right? Can we tell who this email is from?
No.
No, it is complete gobbledygook. Like, that is not anybody's name, all right? So immediately, you should be having those little red flags heading up, because something does not look right, okay? Are they asking for your information?
Yes.
Yeah. Please confirming, provide the documents for your identity. Log into your account and complete required steps. Does the email have mistakes?
In fact, it does.
Yes, it does. You know, and here, this is where they get you. If you're one that just skims through your emails, you might not notice it right away, right? But when you really start reading it, you're like, oh, something does not make sense right there. What do you see? What's wrong?
Number one, account is misspelled.
Account is misspelled, and I believe it's misspelled a couple different ways
Yep.
in a couple different places.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just spelled correctly there. Oh, incorrectly there, yeah. Okay, what else?
Suspicious.
Suspicious is very suspicious.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything else? Read this sentence. Does it make sense?
Confirm.
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 Yeah, so clearly this was some sort of form scam and they forgot to do a little deletion of words before sending it on. So this is riddled with tons of mistakes, okay?
Yes.
Oh, actually, and there's one other thing. That blue thing that says log into PayPal account is a button. It's a link for you to click. Don't click the links. Whatever you do, don't click the links, okay? All right, so here's another one, Cash App. It's a legit app, or so I've heard. Are they trying to rush you into a quick action?
Exactly, yeah.
As soon as possible. What else? Expiring soon, confirm ASAP. Action required is the name of the email. Like those are the emails that get you a little nervous. Like, oh boy, what happened? What's going on?
So, question, when you open that email up like that to read it, are you downloading malware then by reading an email?
Great question. So right now, this is just a picture. So I'm not actually in an email.
Right, no, but I mean, if this is real when you were.
Right, so they say don't open.
Well,
Don't even open them. Yeah. So if you can have your setting on your email that, like, you can see the full thing, or I know for our work email, it automatically just like pops up the email so you can kind of see it without actually clicking in it. That would be another way. But yeah, don't click on any of the words within the email. All right, so clearly, is it too good to be true? $750. Only if you do it soon, of course. Okay, and one other thing, sorry. There was something else. We've been trying to reach you in order to deliver your cash app. Expiring soon, complete this. Or maybe I was thinking of something else. My apologies. All right, so activity 3. So this is on the back page. All right. Can you recognize the scam? All right, so I want you to look at this email, and I want you to circle 4 things that could indicate that this is a scam. And it's okay if you don't find 4. If you can find 1, that would be great. I know, it's like you chuckle. I'll proofread this. Okay. What's something you found?
I would say the attachment.
The attachment, yeah. I don't know about you, but I don't know of any pharmacies that are gonna do that. If you had a pharmacy that said that they're doing this, I would contact that pharmacy over the phone.
It's a HIPAA violation for crying out loud.
That too. So besides a possible link that you could be clicking on, what else do you know is hinky about this?
Your account update on.
Yep, got some repeated words going on.
So who it's from.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. And they don't even say anything about my name or that person's name. It's just your account update.
Asking you to re-register.
Yeah, so they're asking for your information.
The subject
Yeah, the grammar's atrocious, isn't it?
I don't know where to start.
Coming in from palpability of account, I don't even know what word they're trying to use, but in no world is palpability the correct word. So there's that mistake, you're right, there's some punctuation, there's some extra gaps. Yep, right, so all of those are clues that this is a scam. All right. So kind of to bring that back, so how can we avoid scams or do the best to our ability for scams? Number one, don't ever give out your personal information. Don't reply to or engage with the fraudster. So this is something that we'll talk about the individual things. Don't click on any links or buttons. Don't download any files or attachments. Do be skeptical. Do read your emails carefully and do look up information on your own. Okay? So personal information, never give it out. Includes your name, email address, credit card number, password, ever. Don't reply to or engage with the fraudster. I have an uncle who loves to answer telemarketer phone calls just to mess with them. But something that I've learned from this is when you engage, now that person knows that somebody lives there and would answer. So they're going to continue making that phone call. The same goes with unsubscribe. I've always just unsubscribed to emails that I didn't want. But by clicking unsubscribe, you're telling that other person, oh, this is a legit email, so now I'm going to keep on sending things. So don't unsubscribe. Send it to your spam or your junk mail, and then that will just get deleted after so many days. Now, I only learned this week, so I don't know how well this will work down the road, if it'll make a difference, but that's what I'm going to try doing, is not clicking unsubscribe. Don't click any links or buttons in the emails. Chances are this is not taking you to your PayPal account. It's taking you to a website where somebody is now gleaning your information so they can do bad things with it. Don't click those don't download any files or attachments, because those could have viruses or malware that could have bad things. So it's sad, but you do need to be skeptical, especially with how much technology our world is involved with. It's better to be skeptical than to be rose-colored glasses about things. Read your emails carefully. If it looks funny, if there's something grammatically incorrect, spaces, whatever, something's not right, always look at the address to make sure that it's a legit email address. And then look up information on your own. Anytime you think this is a legit company, do your own research on your own by calling them, going to their actual website, to your own account to double check that things are legit. Okay, we're going to skip this one. All right, so now we're just going to do a little review of the things that we talked about. Which of those 4 passwords listed is most secure? Cows help make cheese, yep. Password we know, 1 Maple Street, I'm going to guess that's somebody's street address, and ASDFGHJKL is the middle line of the keyboard. Of the 3 listed, what's your best option for remembering a password? So notebook stored in a safe place. Oh man, the number of sticky notes I would just remember putting on computers that I no longer do because, what 3 things in this email indicate something is hinky? I don't know, we've got ourselves a hyperlink to click on. And there's one more.
That the pharmacy, you.
You're right, there's some grammar there. And it's almost a sense of urgency, like, oh, you got to do this now or you're going to lose those points. Yeah. And, oops, sorry. They also use the wrong loose. That's loose. Loose stem. All right, how about this one? I love this one.
Well, obviously, I'm very glad there was no contact information.
That's true.
Well, it says here APAR, not APR.
Yep, we got the wrong here. And I have never been addressed as an adorable
That's
bird.
what-
And not even from people I know have I ever been addressed that way. And it's good to look at that because this actually could look legit, right? I mean, we've got somebody's name, some letters at geek.com. So for that point, we got to keep looking. I do notice for Albert though, that capital L instead of a lowercase l. Okay? So lots of issues going on. All right. So you receive an email telling you you've won a prize. You think it's spam. What should you do? Put it in your spam folder and ignore it. Yep. Don't engage in any way whatsoever. All right. Anything else that you would like clarification on to the best of my ability? Yes.
How do you, can you delete old accounts and not use them anymore?
I don't see why you shouldn't be able to do that.
They're definitely on that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there have been sites that I have gone in to delete. I would also think since, I mean, they're going under, right?
They went under.
Yeah, so I would think, well, I shouldn't assume positive things. I was gonna say, with them going under, maybe they just deleted everything, but knowing the way our world works, there's a chance that, that data is out there.
Yeah, probably like vaporware or whatever.
Right. I'm just, let's see. I
deleted the app, but I
Let's see.
couldn't.
Kohl's card. I'm just going to Kohl's to see what they may or may not say. Of course, it's making me sign in first, and I don't have that memorized, nor do I have it saved in here. I'm fairly certain there is a way of doing it. I'm going to guess it's very convoluted because they don't want you to stop being their customer, even though they are defunct. And I would also say it's probably based on the website itself. So there's probably no communal way for every website to do that. But there should be a way for you to delete your account.
And I know you mentioned DuckDuck.
DuckDuckGo.
You done as well?
Yep.
I've heard that when you're shopping for airplane tickets, if you look and then you come back later and look again, the price goes up. They know you're looking for it.
Oh, that possibly.
That might be a Google thing.
That, I mean, chances are, and yes. So this is DuckDuckGo, and you can have it just like set as your default web browser. I know for my laptop, it just came up with its own little like icon for me to download it as the browser instead of just opening the tab. And on my phone, I have it, and it'll actually tell me how many times it stopped something from tracking. And we're talking like thousands a day. Anytime I'm using some sort of app on my phone, it's being tracked. So I do appreciate that DuckDuckGo is for the little man.
When I was trying to get here, I put in my map finder to find the library, and it took me to the youth center.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? That is the old library. And it has not been our library since 2006, I think. So it's interesting. You know what? You're the second person, I think, that this year has said that they've been taking
So I was trying to get here by
Right.
time for the
Interesting. Okay. What was the name of your
map quest.
MapQuest? Okay. When we find these things, we need to reach out to them so that they can fix them. So MapQuest. Okay. Any other questions?
I also think, I mean, I know like a lot of lot of like things you sign in now, basically with, wherever you shop, with, like your email or your, I think like social media, pretty much a lot of accounts nowadays, you know, one thing that should be mentioned is like 2FA.
Multi-factor authentication, yes, yep. So, and a lot of places are doing that now, where when you go to sign in, it says you also need to give us a phone number so that we can call you and give you a number, or that we can text you and give you a number. But there's also apps. I know Duo Mobile is one. I believe that Microsoft has their own as well, and there's a couple out there. I use Duo for graduate school, and so what happens is it sends a link or a notice to that app saying, hey, is this you trying to get into your school stuff right now? And I have to click yes. It's annoying, but I completely understand why it's there. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Anything else?
Thanks for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for coming. Congratulations, you've learned a little bit about cybersecurity. Yes.
About security and not opening up email. Earlier this year, my son came up from Florida and he went to see an attorney so I could make my will. And we went back to Florida and we were going to let him know when he was redoing whatever those are.
Yep.
We took for signing everything. And I got the thing and did it. And I hadn't heard from him. It was like 2 or 3 weeks, and I said, so I called him, and I said, are you gonna be able to make that date okay? He said, well, I don't know anything about it. And I said, well, didn't you get an email from blah, 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 blah? And he said, oh, it was the attorney's secretary who sent the email, and he thought it was, I didn't recognize my name, and he just got rid of it.
Okay, I mean, I actually, I know it caused problems, but it's better to be erring on the side of it. But also, not good on that attorney to say, it might be coming from my assistant, this is the person's name. Like that, they should have let your son know that. Yeah. All right, so we talked about recognizing secure websites, making passwords strong and memorable, recognizing and avoiding online scams, and hopefully gave you some tips and tricks for staying safe online. I highly recommend giving Digital Learn a glance at some point. Besides that, before you leave, I know we're a couple minutes late, I have some door prizes. So we have grand prize, and in this grand prize, we have all things cybersecurity. We've got some RFID protection sleeves for credit cards and for passports. We have an external hard drive that is 2 terabytes, which should be enough for you guys. So he was bringing up multi-factor authentication. So there's something here called UV keys, which are kind of the exact same thing. And there's 2 because you never know if you lose one. And actually my professor was one that get 2. You always need 2 keys, just like you do for your house. There should be directions, but if there's not, I'd be more than happy to sit down with you and figure out how these work. And then anytime you use a USB port in public, so let's say you go to the Kohl Center to watch basketball game, they have those towers out there, you can plug things in. There is a chance that somebody could have done something to that USB port first. So these are called data bunkers. And what you do is you put them into the USB port first, and then you plug in your phone or your tablet or your computer, and it blocks anything bad going to your computer. So those are the grand prize. And our grand prize goes to person number 4, Jan. Yeah, you.
Good one.
I was gonna say, we have to shoot,
Okay, and then I've got some other things. So let's see. Okay, so Dale, I'm gonna give you the option of either a wall charger, Apple gift card, or a Google gift card.
Apple.
All right, there you go. You're welcome. Okay, Frank, same question to you. Wall charger, Apple gift card, or Google gift card?
Google.
All right. You're welcome. All right, Chuck, same thing to you. Apple, Google, or wall charger?
I'll go with the Google one.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And then Sue, same question to you. Apple, Google, or wall charger?
Okay, well,
Okay, there you go. So, well, thank you all for coming. There's one other thing I forgot to mention. I apologize. One of the other pieces of paper in here is a survey. Because we're doing this class through AT&T and the Public Library Association, they asked us to put together some questions so that they can make things better for next time. And then I added my own question at the bottom. Being the adult librarian, I'm in charge of adult programming. And I decided to see, all right, what in an ideal world where there's no limits to times or days of the week, what's the best day, the best time that you would come to an adult program? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we're looking to see, what works best for people. So I would love if you filled it out. Do not feel like you have to. I totally understand if you need to go on your way. So, other than that, that's all I have. I'm gonna end this.